So let's talk about the choice that Democrats are facing right now with Dr. Judy Jasser. He is the founder and president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy and Democratic strategist Ellis Hennigan, Trump America columnist, and also the co-author of Let Me Finish with former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. Dr. Jasser, let's start with you. Do you find that Ilhan Omar is anti-Semitic? Are her comments anti-Semitic?
There's no doubt anybody should have. This isn't just a few tweets. This is her worldview. Look, for example, in the past few days, she's been tweeting that she's in Eritrea. Eritrea, when I was on the U.S. Commission on Religious Freedom, is one of the world's most oppressive regimes in religious freedom on the planet. Yet she talks about peace and justice and never really criticized the authoritarian tyranny that's there. Her perspective is similar to the worldview on Israel that you see in the UN, that the Islamic Conference pushes, where half the resolutions in the UN end up being about Israel, when in fact it's one of the few democracies in the world, including NATO countries and Western countries, and yet they obsess about it. And her obsession on Israel, even though she's from a different region of the world, is part of the Islamist worldview, which views America as the fault for most things, Israel as the fault. And if you look who's cheering her on, David Duke is cheering her on. The Iranian press today had a piece in Tehran Times that congratulated her and Tlaib as the two leading Muslim women congressmen in the West, that they have bright futures ahead of them. And they then, that piece compared Israel to the Nazis. So this is the type of language that she is inspiring across the planet, proving really that she is pushing not only occasional anti-Semitic trope, it is her worldview.
Ellis, we've got 30 seconds before we cut to break, so I'm going to give you a chance to quickly respond to that, and we will continue after the break.
Well, I'm not going to pretend to know what's in her heart. People
but
have
we've heard what's coming out of her mouth.
I have, but I'm not as quick as others to point fingers and call people racist and call them anti-Semitic. I think what we need to do is describe how it is that we deal with this. We've opened a can of worms here, and it's not easily put back together. But I'm not making the kind of moral judgments that some of my friends are so quick to jump on.
All right. We will discuss how the Democrats are trying to deal with this and get into that draft resolution after the break. Let's bring back my panel. Dr. Judy Jasser, founder and president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, and Ellis Hennigan, author and Democratic supporter, safe to say. All right. Ellis, the comments are being deemed offensive by Jews. They certainly sound like tropes coming from the protocols of the elders of Zion, this dual loyalty allegiance. But let's talk about this draft resolution. I've read it. I've had a look at it. I'm assuming you have too. It condemns anti-Semitism and all forms of bigotry. It explains that dual loyalty charge, giving examples in history of how that has been problematic, shall we say, for the Jewish people. It also condemns the Pittsburgh attack, in which Jews were recently killed. It also condemns anti-Muslim bias and Islamophobia and unfair treatment of Muslim Americans. And it also condemns threats against Muslim American members of Congress. So what is so problematic in this that Democrats can't pass it?
Because it's totally pointless. These resolutions, you've opened up a can of worms that is having exactly the effect that you're describing, right? Let's agree that anti-Semitism is a terrible thing and none of us should...
But we can't agree on that. Well, Democrats don't seem to.
Let me finish my thought, if I might.
Go ahead.
Let's agree that anti-Semitism is a terrible thing. But then there are 50 other things. We could denounce slavery. We could talk about homophobia. That's the problem. When you start singling out these kinds of moral evils and these political resolutions, you end up creating problems that you have no idea. This is not producing anything. It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't make anybody feel any better. It doesn't ease anti-Semitism. It is a waste of time and energy, and people ought to stop doing it immediately. I hear things all day long I disagree with. It would be crazy for me to spend my life denouncing them. It's just a waste of time.
A waste of time, Dr. Jasser. Do you agree that this is a waste of time? The Democrats don't seem to get an agreement on that front either. What are your thoughts?
I have to tell you, I mean, in your own party, Ellis, Chairman Engel did not seem to be finding it a waste of time. What I think he fell way short of is he's treating us in the Muslim community in an infantile way, as if we can't be treated as adults and be held to the same standards. If this was not a Muslim that was saying the things that she is saying, they would be sanctioned and removed, just like Congressman King was removed from his committees with a unanimous vote. There was no dissension, yet now you're saying you're opening, what's the can of worms? And to say there's a moral equivalency between what has happened to the Jewish community and their collective bigotry against them that created the Holocaust and other crimes against humanity, and equate that to what has happened to Muslims post 9/11, etc. Yes, there's some bigotry, but the two have no moral equivalency. And you're right, this resolution doesn't do anything, because it's almost like Harry Potter's Lord Voldemort. It's the one who shall not be named. Yeah, she should be named. She should be removed from the House Foreign Affairs because she does not meet the standard. Being a congressperson is not an on-the-job training in deprogramming and political Islamist rhetoric.
Ellis, to Dr. Joss's point, Republicans removed Stephen King from all of his committees. Why can't Democrats do the same?
No, they can do whatever they want. I'm just saying that of all the
Why
things,
shouldn't they do the
all
same?
the things that might accomplish something and make the world a better place, us fighting about exactly what should be denounced and what other things should be denounced,
Well, why
and
not
exactly
just
what
remove her?
exactly what the language could be is a stupid waste of energy. And listen, I understand. I mean, each of us has our own issues that we get agitated about. And for some people, it's Israel. And for others, it's Palestine. And for others, it's issues of African Americans. And we could go down the list. But once you start getting into this denunciation business, you can never get out of it. And it doesn't solve anything. What does it accomplish?
Her opinions about Israel are not policy
You don't like them.
positions.
You don't like them.
Her positions are
You
actually
object to them.
collective generalizations about
Whatever.
Jews.
Let
There's
him
a big
speak.
difference.
Well, no, I understand. Some people find them deeply, deeply offensive. And I'll bet you, Doctor, that there are things that you believe that some people find deeply offensive. I'm just making a call here for suggesting that wouldn't we be better off using all this energy and all this passion to do something that achieves something instead of spending the next week debating stupid, irrelevant resolutions?
I'll bet you as much as you want that there's nothing that I believe personally or publicly that is equated with bigotry, hatred, and the type of vitriol that comes out of her when she talks about the Jewish community and about Israel in an allegiance kind of way, dual loyalty, and in a financial protocols of Zion type of language, which is offensive. There's a reason David Duke and the Iranian regime seems to find her comments to be so pleasing to them. And your inability to directly address that is treating her with a kid gloves that actually is a bigotry of low expectations, I believe.
Let me give you an example that I think is an analogy you might be able to get your head around. When Donald Trump announced his campaign for the presidency, he rode down an escalator in Trump Tower and called Mexicans rapists, right? Now, a lot of people...
He did not say all Mexicans were rapists. That is a mischaracterization of his statement.
Michelle, you can try to shout me down,
let's just
but
be
a
fair.
lot of people...
Let's just be fair about the comments.
Michelle, a lot of people found those comments deeply offensive, right? Now, did we spend the next 4 years denouncing them? Frankly, it would have been pointless, because then there's another cause we can denounce, and yet another cause
that's exactly
we can
what
denounce.
the mainstream media and many on the Democratic side have been doing, Ellis. They have been denouncing those exact comments.
And there are people,
and a lot of Republicans too.
This.
But Ellis, should she be removed, just like Steve King was removed? You want action, you say a resolution is a waste of time. If it's just condemning statements, then should she be removed?
I think it's pointless, because then you got to remove the right-wing Republican who says something that's homophobic, and then you got to...
They did.
I'm telling you, you're going to go down this road and you're going to regret it, because eventually the people who object to the things that you say are going to think you need to be denounced and removed.
Well,
it's not the way to run a democratic political system.
Ellis, it is a direct conflict of interest that's profound beyond proportions, explainable for somebody in the House Foreign Affairs Committee to be an anti-Semite when they decide on appropriations to Israel and other Islamic theocracies, and not to be able to be objective. Her treatment of Elliot Abrams a few weeks ago was an abomination and completely pedestrian. It was just absurd. And if you don't see that as anti-Semitism, you're just being blind or inappropriate.
No, that's not what I said. Should we remove the president? He said a lot of racist stuff.
This moral equivalency with President Trump, when in fact he had denunciation from every side of the aisle, is just absurd.
Let me ask you this. Okay. Omar is claiming that she wants to have a discussion, that she wants to have a debate, as is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. But then why are they refusing to actually discuss and debate this? A number of members of Congress have reached out to her saying, fine, let's discuss, let's debate. Certainly everyone in the media, including I-24 News, has said, OK, come on the show, tell us what your issues are. Let's have an open conversation. And she's refusing to talk to everyone, including more friendly media to her cause, if you want to position it this way. So do they really want an open discussion? Is that really the agenda behind these kind of comments?
I'm not her spokesman. I don't know why she wants to do it or not. I'm simply making a point that you are wasting an awful lot of time and energy and creating phony crises around something that's not going to get you what you want.
Is it a phony crisis, Dr. Jusser?
Absolutely not. Israel is surrounded by a neighborhood that is extraordinarily dangerous, and for us to have comments coming out of Congress that sound like they're coming out of Iran or out of Turkey or other non-democracies that are Islamist theocracies absurd, and it should be denunciated because Israel is a lone ally for us in the Middle East in many different areas, and we need to continue to fight anti-Semitism because it does lead to the bigotry and violence that creates a climate for the Jewish community that they need to understand we support and defend. And people like Congresswoman Omar need to be denounced for comments that are unbecoming of members of Congress and removed from committees that have influence on appropriations to support allies like Israel.
All right, we have got to go. Thank you.
Thank you
for that impassioned debate, Dr. Judy Jusser and Ellis Hennigan.
Good to see you guys.